Hey, what's going on, guys? Rideshare guy here, and today I've got a video for you about what can Uber drivers do about surge discrepancies, right? So obviously surge is a huge topic and I get a lot of questions about maximizing surge, but this one is actually going to talk a little bit more about how to make sure that you're getting paid the right amount for your surge. So basically, I got this question the other day over email. RSG reader James, he wanted to know about a situation that happened to him one night when he was out driving. So basically, here's what he emailed me. He said he was waiting in a surge area and a request came in at 1.5x. But once he accepted it and then switched over and checked the passenger app, he saw that at the passenger location, it showed 2.4x, and he basically wanted to know why. So now obviously 1.5x and 2.4x is a pretty big deal, right? On a normal $10 ride, a 1.5x ride will pay you $15 and a 2.4 will pay you $24. So that's a $9 difference, which isn't a huge amount, but obviously those add up, right? Over multiple rides, $9 is kind of a big difference. So if I had to guess based off what I heard from James's email, what happened, I would say that number one, the first, I guess, potential thing that may have happened with James may not have been in an area that was at 2.4 surge. James might have been in an area that was at 2.4 surge, but his passenger was not. The other thing that could have possibly happened was maybe the passenger requested a ride, and this is, I think, what likely happened. And for whatever reason, when the passenger requested that ride, the first driver or two, for whatever reason, they missed the call, right? Obviously, you have 10 to 15 seconds as a driver to hit accept, and if that passenger doesn't get matched with the first driver, it goes on to the next driver. So if one or two drivers miss it, that could be anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds or around that much time that can elapse, right, during that period, which is obviously a lot. And surge can fluctuate pretty wildly during that period. So it's very likely that a passenger can make a request at a certain surge level. If one or two drivers miss it, you could get that surge request at a different level. So that's kind of where that lag comes into play, and you guys will hear a lot about lag and surge, and it's really hard to kind of match these up, and you kind of have to take Uber's word for it, which unfortunately is not always the best idea, and they don't have the best history with drivers. But really what I want you guys to know is there are a lot of potential things that could happen in this situation that cause this, right? I know that there tend to be a lot of errors, a lot of bugs and things like that, and conveniently enough, they almost always kind of screw drivers out of the surge, right? I don't get many emails from drivers who say, hey, I was at 1.5 surge, but this request came in at 3.0 and I don't know why. And obviously it's most likely because people, when that does happen, they don't email me about it. So I get a lot of the emails when it's at 2.5 and it only got 1.4, for example. So, I think a lot of these errors kind of, it's kind of a matter of what you remember, but at the same time, these issues are happening. And what I can recommend, that if you guys are out there using the passenger app to see where other drivers are, that's great. But for surge, it's going to be a lot tougher, kind of because of the situations I mentioned. So I generally don't like to use the passenger app when I'm looking at surge. Obviously, especially now with the latest updates to the Uber app, and I mean, it's been up there for a while, you guys can notice that, hey, with the Uber app, you can actually see the surge. You can actually see the surge zones too. So that's definitely a good kind of tool or resource. You guys can always be checking on the driver's side. I mean, sometimes I'll even log in when I'm not driving just to kind of keep my eye on the surge from the driver app. So I'll log in very quickly and then I'll log out just to make sure that I don't get a request. But, so that's kind of definitely something that you can do. And that's probably the easiest way also to confirm. Now, it gets a little tricky when you could potentially get a request outside of that surge area and it could be lower, right? So if you're sitting in a 2.0 surge and you get a request for 1.5, that could be because they're outside of your surge zone, right? If you guys look on the map, obviously you can see what the surging area is. And when I get a request, I usually like to really study and really focus, sit there for 5 or 10 seconds before I hit accept so I know where they are and I have a good idea as soon as the ride starts. Now, this can also actually work in your favor, right? Because typically you move towards, you'll get called in towards higher demand, higher surge, right? Because if you're in a 1.5 or even a 1.0 area and there's a big surge area right next to you that's at 2.5, that means drivers are not in high availability availability. There's a lot of demand coming in from passengers, and so it will start requesting and pulling drivers from other areas to come into that area. So that's when you might see, hey, I'm sitting in a 1.0 zone, but I'm getting 2.5 requests from 5 to 10 minutes away. So now personally, I'm not really always paying attention to this. I've really never found that I was staring at the driver app and I saw 2.0x and then I got a request at lower than 2.0 because frankly, I'm kind of usually doing other stuff on Facebook or Twitter as opposed to just sitting there staring at the driver app. But I know that at times, drivers do that, and that's kind of when these situations come up. But I am curious to kind of know what your guys' experience has been like with these surge discrepancies. Do you find that, you're getting 1.0 rides when it should be 2.0 or vice versa? Or what do you think is the most typical? Because obviously it would be nice to kind of source all the information from everyone. So definitely leave a comment below. And I know that Uber has had some big problems with surge in the past that they actually said was, conveniently enough, right, a big glitch when the passenger app was showing one surge level and then the driver app at the very exact same time was showing a different. And that was kind of an obvious glitch that drivers screenshotted and where we were able to kind of figure out. I haven't heard too much of that lately, but you do still get these little ones. So definitely leave a comment and let me know or shoot me a message and give me your feedback because I'm definitely interested to hear. Surge is a really important topic, and whenever I do an article or make a video about it, it's very popular and a lot of people want to read, know about it, and learn more. So if you guys actually want to know more about surge, I actually brought on onto my podcast on episode 19. I'll leave a link in the show notes. I did a really interesting podcast where I brought on this computational data journalist, kind of a complicated name, but basically what he does is he's a journalist, but he uses all sorts of really cool data. And in this most famous article he's ever done, he pulled surge, he used the Uber API and pulled surge data from Uber at all these different locations over Washington, D.C., and basically really figured out how surge really works. And it's pretty interesting to see because it definitely, what he found was a lot different than what Uber says. So if you guys are interested in that, it's podcast episode 19. You can go to therideshareguy.com/episode 19, or I'll leave a link right here in the show notes. So definitely look forward to hearing from you guys. As always, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to me, comment, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Look forward to hearing from you guys soon. All right, take care.